Welcome back to Above Photo. Before we get into this video, if you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel below and also press that little bell so you can be notified when new videos are posted. And if you like what you see today or in previous videos, don't forget to also press that like button, leave a comment and let me know how I'm doing. Let's go. Okay, so just recently, I know I've not put many videos out for the last few weeks. I've been missing. I have been trying to crack on with all my uni work and assignments and everything like that. So I have been away from the camera like this, but I have been behind the camera taking photos, just so you know. Anyway, so one of my units is landscape photography, and basically I wanted to give you 5 tips that I've picked up over the last few weeks on how I've improved my landscape photography. These might not work for everybody, but I think they're a really good base to start with. So if you're a beginner and you're looking to do more landscape photography, this could be helpful to you. I found it quite helpful for someone that doesn't like taking landscape photos a lot. I've now I do enjoy it a little bit now. I've learned to enjoy the process of taking landscape photography. Number one then, first of all, is time of day. I started off just going out when I could. Just woke up at 10 o'clock in the morning, pack a bag, go and explore. It wasn't very beneficial because by the time I found somewhere that I liked, the skies were blue, there wasn't a cloud in sight, which is great, nice and bright, but there wasn't much interest in the sky. And I was finding that it just wasn't working. I wasn't getting like depth into my image. So you see a lot of landscapes where, you know, there's a good moody sky. Some of them have been put in after the fact. Some of them are there already. So picking the time of day that you go and shoot is a real key thing to do. So what I learned after a while was to figure out if I was going to shoot in the late evening, late afternoon, early evening, or if I was going to shoot early morning, sunrise, and an hour or two after that as well. Stay away from your midday kind of timings where the sun's at the highest and everything is really bright, because it doesn't give you a lot of depth in your image. That's all it is. It's like putting a flash on top of your camera now and then moving it to the side. It just gives you a bit more of a dynamic light sort of thing. That's the only way I can describe it. So I stopped doing things in the afternoon and was then picking early in the morning to go out and shoot, to give myself the rest of the day to do something. Number 2, gear. Important. I think it's really important to know your gear and what it can do for you and the best ways to use it with landscape photography. But it's not only camera gear. I bought a pair of walking boots as well, which have probably been the most important buy that I've had. Without those walking boots, I don't think I would have gone certain places that I did, because number one, all my trainers are okay trainers, so I don't like getting them dirty. Number two, I don't have anything else that I could wear instead of those trainers. And number three, my feet would not have been safe either. So I went down to, it's not a plug or anything like that, it's just where I went. I went to Decathlon, picked up like a £30 pair of walking boots that were also waterproof, which is great because then I got to walk into like shallow rivers that without worrying about getting my feet wet. So I bought a pair of walking boots as well, which is a great bit of gear. But camera gear wise, it's always great to have a polarizing filter or ND filters. Anything that you can reduce like glare in water if you've got like a lake or something in front of you. Anything that can make the sky a little bit bluer. Also, the ND filters are like sunglasses for your camera. It basically just makes it darker for you without changing your aperture and things like that. So Basically, if you put an ND filter on, you can get different ones. You saw me in a previous video talk about a 10 stop that I bought, and that was specifically for this landscape stuff. So I bought a 10 stop filter, and that was great for getting real smooth, buttery like water. I loved it. It's giving me some great images. Also, taking a variety of lenses. Don't always think a wide angle lens is probably your best friend for a landscape. You might want to like get in on those details a bit. There might be some like real nice mountains or hills in the background, or like an isolated tree or something in a field that you just want to get a bit more of a tighter angle on, and you don't want to crop afterwards in post, because then you start losing some like information from your file. So always take a variety of lenses that you think you might need, and as you keep doing it, then basically you'll know which lenses will be better for you as you go out. So gear is a really important thing as well. Next one, real just touched on it a little bit there. Real good one, composition. Don't just get your camera out straight away and just point it in the direction you want it to be. What I found was really helpful was I got my phone out first, and I just started looking through my phone, because like I was doing this, like I was like that between my hands trying to figure out a composition. I thought, you know what, my phone will do it a bit better for me. So like utilize your phone. 9 times out of 10 you're not going to have any reception, so no one's going to ring you anyway. So get your phone out, just pop it up and start looking. Like just literally, I was like this, just going around like this with my phone and just seeing what looked good in that little screen. And lo and behold, it did help me a little bit, because landscape photography is something I'm very new at. That helped me a lot. So think about your composition a lot. Have a look around your scene. Another good one was like the sky was a bit better that way than it was where I was actually looking in one of my images. So I sort of like composed that way a bit more, just to get a bit more like sky kind of detail. So there's other things like that you can do as well. So always look around what details you can get into the image. Composition is a real key thing. You know, you can use negative space in a landscape image. You can turn it portrait, like I was just talking about. Yeah, there's loads of things. You know, points of interest, foreground interest, having balance in the image too. You know, so you know you've got good level horizons. I think that is probably a lot of people's pet peeves when it comes to landscape. Actually, is a bent horizon line. So even if it is bent in your image, make sure when you go to edit it afterwards that you make sure it's straightened up, because I think that's the thing a lot of people have a massive thing about, which I can understand because it just doesn't look right. Tip number 4, explore. Just explore. Sometimes you might not know like too much about the area that you're in, so just explore. It's that simple. Find something. You'll stumble across something. You really will. You'll come across things and you'll be like, that's interesting. So then you do that. The 5th one is something that I picked up towards the end of my little landscape journey over the last few weeks, and that was plan what you're going to do. So my last trip was last week. I went to Lake Vyrney, in like mid North Wales, I think. Anyway, it's a beautiful lake in Wales, and I got there at about 5:36 in the morning. I was on Google Maps, had it all up. Obviously the place doesn't open till 9, so I knew that I could drive around, so I drove a couple of laps around, found some spots that I liked the look of, marked them down on a little notebook that I had, and I started planning what I was about to do before I wanted to start shooting. I had a time in mind where I wanted to start shooting at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then I started picking out places as I got there. And then as soon as the visitor centre was open, I made sure I went in, got myself a map of the local area, and that helped me even more because it showed me a waterfall that I could have gone to and how to get to that waterfall, rather than me trying to like wing it and possibly get lost or go somewhere I'm not supposed to be. So plan. If you've got the time to, if you've got the ability to, plan what you're going to be shooting as well. It'll probably make your life a lot easier. It made mine so much easier knowing where I wanted to be, when, and how to get there. So those are my 5 tips for landscape photography. Like I said, there are a lot of things that will work for you, a lot of things that won't work for you, but as a beginner, it's a real good thing for you to think about. Um, Trying all different types of photography. Don't just put yourself into a bubble of one style. Expand your knowledge, because it'll only help you be a better photographer.